they said Tom Hanks, he's really a Rockefeller, which I'm like, okay, that's good.
That's why he went to Spain.
He's an Ashkenazi Jew. Drake is a Rothschild. You know,
literally.
Ellen DeGeneres is a Rothschild. Obama's a Rothschild. Yeah, but it's just like,
and people be thinking it's so really hard to fake all of this stuff. Like I was just talking to my wife the other day. Why would you think that it's so hard? These celebrities only make up less than 1% of the world's population. Controlling these people is not a hard thing to do. If someone with enough money put their mind to it. If these people are just being used to brainwash us and keep us in check, you think that they're not in check? You think they're not all a part of the program? Look up the beginnings of TV, the beginnings of radio, and who funded it. It was all these secret programs. All of these people are damn near what we call designer babies that grew up to be a part of a brainwashing tool to keep the populace in control so that we can look at these people as idols, while these other demons who they don't want us to know their names, they don't want us to know that they're reptilians, that they are really in control of us, are behind the scenes working everybody like puppets. It wouldn't be that hard to do, but it's just the fact that people can't fathom it. And it blows my mind that people can't fathom it because, like I said earlier, they put it in every goddamn movie. They put it in every TV show. They put it in the commercials because it's all brainwashing. Look up what the etymology of the word media comes from. These people ain't just now been doing this now. These people used to castrate men in order for them to be able to sing like women. And a lot of those men went on to be in operas playing women back in Rome, back during the time of Rome. But for some reason, we can't fathom it. It's been not kings, it's been queens and kings that have been reverse gendered. That's documented history. But for some reason, you tell this to people and they think that you're the nut because these folks have created a term called conspiracy theories and made it seem like it was all nonsense. And you guys just keep listening to the media.
Money grows, peace can grow, money stay grow, only money grows.
What's up, YouTube fam? It's your man King Marcel. We back with another video. I got episode 9 of strange and insane TikToks that I think you all need to see. The world is literally in a state of flux right now, and I'm trying to bring you all this content so that you all stay aware of everything that's going on. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that you're notified whenever I do drop a video here. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, so make sure you guys sub up and join the kingdom. But with that being said, let's get right into this one.
Have y'all seen a video where the man went to Five and Below and tested all the cups, and only the cups that had Black girl magic on it or girls with afro or anything to do with Black History Month, those were the only cups that had lead in them?
Yeah. I thought that Five Below was going to be the first one not to have any lead, but I was wrong. Black girl magic, more like green girl magic. Definitely has enough to glow, but it seems like it's only, wow.
Like, what?
The cult of Moloch, creating the largest Tophet ever discovered, covering almost 4 miles with 9 descending levels. Rabbinical tradition stated, quote, the body of Moloch was hollow, divided into 7 compartments, in one which they put flour, in the 2nd through 6th they put animals, and in the 7th a child, which were all burned together by heating the statue inside. Initially, scholars interpreted these claims as exaggerated fictions, stemming from Greek and Roman propaganda, who publicly shamed these cults as barbaric. But in 1923, French-led excavations at Carthage found some 20,000 burials containing cremated infant and animal bones kept in urns, inscribed with dedications to Baal and the Phoenician theonym for Moloch. They discovered long genealogical pedigrees signifying noble families, with one lineage stretching back 16 generations, suggesting the ritual was, quote, an elite practice. The University of Oxford published a study of the findings, concluding the Greek and Roman accounts were true, and not, as modern scholars believed, propaganda. They also reaffirmed previous analysis.
They're still doing them today.
Because the ritual was so expensive, only the wealthiest and most powerful in Carthage could have practiced it. The cult of Moloch was real, an unspeakable evil carried out by wealthy humans while their society was flourishing. An author of the study said, quote, "We should not imagine that ancient people thought like us and were horrified by the same things. But remember, the Greeks and the Romans were just as appalled then as we are now."
So essentially what I'm saying is, when you go back and watch the videos of Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to post a clip on the end of this so that you guys can watch it. When you go back, say how we have our inauguration, they have a sword dance for the king. The only person that is supposed to hold this sword is the king. The crown prince gave Donald Trump the sword in front of who was their king, stripping that man of his power, putting the power in the hands of Donald Trump. Now let's take his name out of it. He is the commander-in-chief of the United States military. We are under military control. You can go look up the law. What is it? The Law of War handbook of 2015. That's what they're doing. That's what they're playing under right now. But yeah, they transferred power. Saudi Arabia had the #1 person when it come to the adrenochrome. The crown prince was not okay with it. So essentially what he did was, Trump went with evidence, because the NSA has told people they have it all. They weren't talking to Americans, they were talking to the world. We have traced every dime, dollar, like disgusting phone, like, from how I understand it is, if you go listen to John McAfee, they implemented trigger words. So, let me ask you a question. How do you pay to use the World Wide Web? You pay with your privacy. Criminals flock to technology first, because they think they're superior to us, and they use it for criminal activities. A lot of people think that the dark web is secure. You would be wrong. They have traced everything. And so Trump went to Saudi Arabia with a
And
stack
when
of
you
paper.
find out that literally the World Wide Web, the internet, all of those things that they try to say was created by other people, the internet was created by CERN. The dark web included. The entire web was created by CERN. So with people thinking that even if that, like, the thought that you can get on the dark web and things not be tracked is foolish to think, because they are the ones that created it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would we think that it's secure if they created it, and not think that they will have the ability to track everything on it? But it's the fact that it's these elites that, like she said, are using these things for criminal activity, using these things for occultish activity, because people are being sold on the dark web. It was created so that they could do this under our noses. So, you know what I'm saying? That misnomer has to be destroyed.
And essentially said, we have it all. They submitted. The next country he went to was Israel, with the backing, because at that point it's America and Saudi Arabia under the control of the United States military, with the backing of the biggest financial country, financial family in the world. They are above the Rothschilds. They're above the Soros when it comes to finances. So if you have any questions, let me know. I can go into more details about it, but the Crown Prince locked like, they went into the Ritz-Carlton thinking that they were going for like a dinner or something. I can't remember exactly what he told them, but he turned the Ritz-Carlton into a prison. When they went in, the doors locked behind them and nobody could leave.
Yep. That actually happened. You can look that up.
Let me show you guys this in the Epstein files if you haven't seen this yet. This is a clickable link, and this is Mr. Epstein would like to see the menu from the pizza place. Could someone send it, please? This is the name of a real pizza place, and I'm going to show you their website in a second. However, this goes to this creepy website, Pizza Amore St. Thomas, okay?
They get
Mamma
the great
mia, this
crush.
has gotten too spicy. Contact our head chef, Samolo Hyde, for any special orders. Exciting new flavors await. Discover our gourmet pizza creations soon. Stay updated. If you go to shop, new products are coming soon. So let me show you the actual pizza place. This is their website. It's Pizza Amore St. Thomas VI for Virgin Island. So, yeah. So if you don't know about the pizza and grape soda reference, some of the emails reference.
And I guess we are
specifically grape
literally
soda.
starting to
This is better
find
than-
out why the Virgin Islands are called the Virgin Islands. And that damn now all of the Virgin Islands are connected with this pyramid scheme of sex trafficking of children. I'm not taking my foot off
Chinese
these people
cookie.
next, and I hope
Let's
y'all
go
not
for
either.
Pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand. And this was to Jeffrey Epstein. This is from this guy. Holy Chunky, I forgot about that. What time do you want to get pizza and grape soda tomorrow?
They go that grape soda again. Remove the G.
Frankists in history. Look, there's lots of them, okay? But it's all secret because they work in silence. The big thing is their secrecy among their secrecy. Okay? They go in silence. But we know for a fact that Louis Brandeis, who is the first Jewish Supreme Court justice in America, he was a Frankist. And there's a very famous university, Brandeis University, founded after him. So if you think that, so if you know that this guy is a Frankist, think about how many other very powerful Americans are also Frankists, okay? I'm not allowed to name their names because, well, they would deny it. And I would get in a lot of trouble if I mention their names. But they are very powerful people, and you know who they are, okay? You will know their names, but you may not know their Frankists. This is William Butler Yeats, who is a very famous Irish poet. He himself also is a member of secret society. And we're going to read a poem together by Yeats to show you the influence of Frankist philosophy on modernity. In fact, what I will show you next class is you can make the argument that Jacob Frank and Sabbatai Zevi together, they created modernity in the West. All right, so we're going to read a poem by this very famous Irish poet, who is also a Nobel Prize winner, also a member of a secret society called the Order of the Golden Dawn, okay?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
This is the story of Jacob Frank. Not a king, not a prophet, but a man who believed he was the final successor to a line of messiahs, a living God in human form. In the 18th century, the Jewish world was reeling. The trauma of Sabbatai Zevi, the last messiah who converted to Islam, left a void of broken faith. Into this void, Frank stepped. But who was he? A charismatic merchant from the Polish Ottoman borderlands, a master storyteller who claimed divine revelations. He was deeply influenced by the radical, secretive followers of Sabbatai Zevi, and he built upon their most shocking idea. This was Frank's core belief. To achieve ultimate redemption, one must actively descend into sin. He taught that the old laws, the Torah, were obsolete. They belonged to a world of holiness
So just think,
that had to be
if they
dismantled.
think that they had to fall into sin, what Messiah y'all think he is? Because he ain't of the Most High God. He not that Messiah. So he got to be the Messiah of Satanists. If you feel like you have to purge yourself into sin, you have to just jump head first into sin. That is the opposite of Jesus Christ. But they're using the names of the actual Jews. And it's all devil worship. Tainting the name of the Most High God. And they think that this is going to continue. It's disgusting.
To reach the new divine world
be
he
right back.
promised, his followers had to systematically violate the most sacred commandments. This was not mere permission to sin, it was a holy duty. He called this the path of Esau, a necessary descent into darkness to purify and steal the divine sparks hidden within the realm of evil. And his followers, the Frankists, obeyed. They were men and women, often educated and well off, desperate for a new spiritual truth. They saw Frank as a divine figure, the Holy Lord, and his every word was law. They participated in secret rituals that deliberately overturned all norms, moral, religious, and sexual. These gatherings were meant to symbolize the destruction of the old world and the birth of the new. This is where the true danger
The
lay.
Antichrist.
Frank's teachings were a spiritual atom bomb. First, they were a direct assault on the Jewish community. His public debates against
the
rabbinic
Jews, the
leaders and his
Israelites
mass
community.
conversions to Christianity shattered communal unity from within. But the danger went deeper. His belief that the end justifies the means made him a threat to every establishment. To the Jewish community, he was a heresiarch leading souls to damnation. To the Catholic Church that baptized him, he was a dangerous fraud, using their faith as a mere stepping stone. He was eventually imprisoned by the Church as a heretic. And to the social order itself, his doctrines were terrifying. A movement that believes laws do not apply to it, that sees transgression as a virtue, is inherently volatile and destructive. It created a cult-like following utterly devoted to a man who lived in opulence while preaching the path through degradation.
It's because they know they're Esau.
Clowns. Idiots who think that they can do their own research.
Don't do any of your own research. Doing your own research is associated with conspiracy theory circles.
This go-it-alone approach, doing your own research, that can have serious consequences.
You should get prison time for even questioning the vaccines.
Can we all stop saying, I need to do my own research? That phrase, do your own research, 4 words. 4 little words that are hurting America.
Doing your own research hurts America.
Everybody has.
So just think about that. The government doesn't want us to do our own research and wants us to be just mindless dummies and listen to them. I think we all should be doing our own research, don't you all? Don't you think we need to be doing our own research?
A supercomputer in their hands
This is
that empowers
nonsense.
them to do their own research, and that's the problem.
You must not do your own research.
I need to do my own research.
I don't understand what that means. I'm doing my own research. You can't do your own research unless you're a scientist. Do your own research.
Maybe you've told yourself you're playing it safe. You just want to wait and see since this is a new vaccine. No.
Roll the up and get the vaccine.
Unvaccinated people spread the virus. It's a vaccine, you dope.
Don't be a get yourself vaccinated. That's just all there is to it.
There's no excuse.
No excuse for being unvaccinated.
There's no rational and no emotional argument that adds up against getting your damn shot. There just isn't.
We want to make sure that people can discern the truth from the misinformation. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that no one's safe till everyone's safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe. No one is safe.
No one is safe.
Nobody's safe.
No one is safe.
Nobody is safe.
This is a post 9/11 axiom. Safer, but not yet safe.
No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe.
After my last video
Insanity.
in the e-files about the temple, I did some more digging. And I'm going to let you know what I found. I need your help to help answer some of these questions. I came across this company that had a bunch of renderings and photos of the temple. This came in a deck of a design company out of Dubai. Creative Kingdom Dubai. First of all, if anybody knows anything about Creative Kingdom Dubai, please let me know. I can't find a thing about them. It seems as though they were doing some renderings of the property. There were photos like this of some drawings. Look at this guy's like hairy arm. So creepy. What's he pointing at? They even dubbed this temple area as the astronomical area, which look at my last video to help explain that. Now, they had this map in here, and I was like, wait a second. What is that? Dog Island. What the hell is that? This is by where the temple is. There is a pathway to this, and then this is the island. This is Dog Island, right across from Little St. James. So I started thinking, okay, there is a small island across from this temple. Okay? And I'm like, does he own this island? So, of course, I looked it up in the e-files, and I found some information. So, this is an email from Cecile de Jong. In my playlist, you'll see several videos breaking down her involvement with Epstein. She was the first lady of the Virgin Islands, okay? And she also worked for Epstein. She helped facilitate things, and she helped him buy Dog Island. So she says in here that the Virgin Islands is willing to entertain selling islands that it owns. We'd need to send a letter of interest and they would commence on having an appraisal done. Look what Jeffrey responded with. Let's do it for Dog Island. And she was saying it is on a type of bird sanctuary. Well, they ended up getting the appraisal for $1,100,000, which to me, that's not that much for an island. I didn't know you could just buy an island like this for 1.1 mil. Let's do it. Let's do a GoFundMe and buy a fucking island. This was in July 10th, 2014. They bought the island. The island is only about 200 to 300 feet away from Little St. James. This was another photo that was in that deck, okay? And if you see here, it says Ann R. She is on a ton of the emails about him trying to buy Dog Island. I believe this picture is taken from Dog Island, and it's only this far away. I think it's only 200 to 300 feet away. And here is the temple. Also, if you haven't seen this TikTok, it's John Megna. He was able to get on the island, and underneath the temple, there is a tunnel that he found. Now, Dog Island is uninhabited, okay? It does not have any buildings or anything like that. It's actually a bird sanctuary. So nothing was on this island, but it was close to Little St. James, aka E Island. This is about a year after they bought this island. This is from Customs and Border Patrol. It says, requesting permission to check Little St. James Beach number 3 for a package that may have been abandoned due to illegal trafficking around Dog Island and Little St. James Island. Illegal trafficking. Now, it doesn't specify what type of trafficking, but clearly the Border Patrol was on alert on Dog Island in 2015. Now, flash forward to August 19th, 2019, when the feds executed a search warrant for Little St. James Island because of a child investigation. In this document, there is no mention of Dog Island. Nothing. They did not search Dog Island. There's also no pictures in the e-files that I can find of Dog Island. So hear me out. Here is my theory. This is where that temple was, where in my last video, we were talking about some really messed up rituals that were most likely happening in there, okay? Look how close it is to that, okay? If one were to dispose of things, wouldn't one just simply put it on an uninhabitable island? Somebody needs to search this island for remains. I can't find anything in the e-files that say that this island was searched. Does anybody have any information on Dog Island? If you do, please put it in the comments and please investigate yourself because I think this is a key of where some remains could be on this island.
Lord have mercy.
These Super Bowl ads were really weird. The Ritz Cracker ad was about a party on an island, and these two dudes were salty that they weren't invited until Scarlett Johansson invited them. Then they weren't mad anymore and joined the party. It seems like they're saying that we're just salty we weren't invited to the parties too. In the Nerds commercial, we got a dude who looked just like Jeffrey Epstein eating candy with children running around in his background. In the Pringles commercial, Sabrina Carpenter had a boyfriend who was made out of Pringles. Suddenly he dies and then everyone just starts eating him. This shocks Sabrina Carpenter until she gets a bite for herself. Then she made a face like, oh, it's really not that bad. They trying to tell us don't knock it until you try it, bro. Eat people, gang. In the Alexa commercial, Chris Hemsworth was telling his wife how he was scared about the AI and she was just telling him that he was crazy. And then the AI suggested to give him a back massage and then everything was good. Like that was it. It's like they're telling us we're doing too much about the AI. Now comment down below. Am I thinking too deep into this or are they doing this on purpose, gang?
Because it's just MK Ultra. This is how they get us to think lightly of these situations and think that it's nothing much going on through this media. They put it in the media, they put it in the movies, they put it in the commercials so that you rationalize these things as just movies, just commercials. They wouldn't be actually on an island eating people. Come on, that's a fairy tale because we connect movies to just people's fantasies. But you got to understand, when it comes to people's fantasies, people try to live their fantasies. That's why most people want to become rich. They want to become rich so that they can explore their wildest dreams, right? But what if some people's fantasies is eating people, is doing things to children? And then we allow these folks to put it in the media to the point where it's so blatant. They got a Epstein lookalike. Come on, the Super Bowl was what, last month? We in March now. This was just a month ago. All of this came out in December with the Epstein files. Epstein had been in jail and died, what, in 2019? But to purposely get a Epstein lookalike for the commercial, how dumb do this lets you know how stupid they think we are. How susceptible to the brainwashing they think we still are. Like, we're about to keep believing it. But my thing is that still ain't nothing being done about it. Everybody being distracted about the war and stuff. People keep seeing Epstein in public, seeing Ghislaine Maxwell in public, and still nothing's being done. Let me calm down before I heat up. Because it's like the brain washing is working to a certain extent, and I need y'all to wake up. I need you all to really watch these videos and not just watch them and put it together that, no, we all need to come together and do something about this, because these folks are just rubbing it in our face at this point. It's disgusting. Outrageous.
Foreign Quarterly Review. At Mitlan, there exists the remains of a palace which is of considerable extent. Its architecture, though distinguished by characteristics peculiarly American and different from that of any nation with which we are familiar, is to our view marked by features of stately grandeur and melancholy beauty. The roof of the portico is supported by plain cylindrical columns, no type of which we believe elsewhere exists. It doesn't exist anywhere else. The facade of the palace is covered with a beautiful matwork of basket scroll, which is a characteristic ornament of all the Toltecan monuments, which is often found in the sepulchral chambers of the same extraordinary people, and which Rossellini, by a singular coincidence, found in those of Egypt, among others of the magnificent scroll ornaments, copies of which decorate his liberations. It is curious that the ground plan of this palace is the Egyptian Tau. Again, it is curious that the ground plan of this palace is the Egyptian Tau. All right? The Egyptian Tau. Again, the T or the cross, the Tau, the Taf. It's Aboriginal, Paleo-Hebrew, one of the letters, right? The cross sticks, where energies intersect, a sacred place, a monument, the emblem of the Garden of Eden, the city of gold, X marks the spot, right? All right. Finally, statues sculptured in a purely classical style, unlike the rude deformities of Mexican art, have been found in the neighborhood of Otumba, Mitlan, Xochicalco, and the magnificent flower temple of Oaxaca, or Waka, right? Waka, Wakanda, sacred place. These are not the works of barbarians, as Robertson.
Of course, now look at that beauty of that palace.
Right? So these weren't barbarians building, having no metal implements to work with. This misconception is the result of the before-mentioned confusion of two errors. And this confusion continues today. We got to break that. We got to really do research. Oh, wake up.
Exactly.
Open mind.
Even though we find that out that literally the most silver has been found in, I believe, Mexico and Southern America. Most of the gold found in the world has been found in America. But they want us to believe these people didn't have access to these mountains, didn't dig in these mountains. How else would they build these things if they didn't have the metal? But they want us to think these people were stupid and living in huts. But obviously they're not if we're digging up these giant pyramids. And it's not just one, it's thousands of them. It's millions of pyramids and mounts in the Americas. It's barely a couple thousand in Africa. So by a margin, it's way more of these structures on this side of the world than the other, but they still want to keep this narrative going. It's y'all need to wake up.
Your theories. You gotta really research. All right?
Somebody for what? You're wasting your time. Why? What? You're
See his tongue?
wasting your time.
Damn goblin.
Why are you harassing?
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait.
Vampires.
I did not know anything about Gitmo. Did y'all know anything about some Gitmo? Saying Hillary Clinton was already executed back in 2018. Joe Biden was already executed back in 2019. We knew there was clones.
And now they looking different.
They posted the list. Now it's all coming back to me because back in 2020, when the COVID pandemic happened, they dropped the Epstein list. But really, that was the Gitmo list. Bruh, why did that shit, that shit literally got wiped from our memories. Do y'all remember?
No, not everybody.
They dropped the Epstein list? And then they tried to say, oh,
people didn't want to believe it.
The whole time they was being executed.
Yes.
The whole time they was on their trials and stuff. And Selena Gomez is on the list. And that's why she looked how she looked like, because that's not the real Selena, because she already got taken care of. Miley Cyrus is on the list. And that's why the Miley Cyrus that we see right now don't look like Miley Cyrus.
Obama don't look like Obama right now.
Beyonce was on the list. And the Beyonce that we see right now, that's why Beyonce was swole up.
Yeah.
Like that when we saw her.
Looking in the days, looking crazy.
She was swole up because that really wasn't Beyonce. That's why Beyonce been looking like a white tea woman for the past years, because Beyonce been gone. She been executed. Jay-Z look like the Alien versus Predator because he been gone. Let me know if y'all heard anything about this Gitmo thing. I'm late to the party. It's just so hard to believe what is true, because we sit here, they showed us the video of Hillary Clinton getting in the SUV and she was stumbling like this and they was trying to force her in the car. How we know they didn't tell her to do that? You know what I'm saying? Okay, 3, 2, 1, action, stumble. And she starts trying to pretend like, you know what I'm saying? We need to publicly see these people getting taken care of. Y'all just doing it behind the scenes and say they at the Guantanamo Bay. We need to see it so we can confirm with our own eyes. We
Exactly.
can't trust what y'all say because at the end of the day, I thought Hillary Clinton was a reptilian. They said Tom Hanks, he's really a Rockefeller, which I'm like, okay, that's good.
That's why he went to Spain.
He's an Ashkenazi Jew. Drake is a Rothschild. You know,
Literally.
Ellen DeGeneres is a Rothschild. Obama's a Rothschild. Yeah, but it's just like,
and people be
if these
thinking it's
folks
so
really
hard to fake all of this stuff. Like I was just talking to my wife the other day. Why would you think that it's so hard? These celebrities only make up less than 1% of the world's population. Controlling these people is not a hard thing to do if someone with enough money put their mind to it. If these people are just being used to brainwash us and keep us in check, you think that they're not in check? You think they're not all a part of the program? Look up the beginnings of TV, the beginnings of radio, and who funded it. It was all these secret programs. All of these people are damn near what we call designer babies that grew up to be a part of a brainwashing tool to keep the populace in control so that we can look at these people as idols, while these other demons who they don't want us to know their names, they don't want us to know that they're reptilians, that they are really in control of us, are behind the scenes working everybody like puppets. It wouldn't be that hard to do, but it's just the fact that people can't fathom it. And it blows my mind that people can't fathom it because, like I said earlier, they put it in every goddamn movie. They put it in every TV show. They put it in the commercials because it's all brainwashing. Look up what the etymology of the word media comes from. These people ain't just now been doing this now. These people used to castrate men in order for them to be able to sing like women. And a lot of those men went on to be in operas playing women back in Rome, back during the time of Rome. But for some reason, we can't fathom it. It's been not kings, it's been queens and kings that have been reverse gendered. That's documented history. But for some reason, you tell this to people and they think that you're the nut because these folks have created a term called conspiracy theories and made it seem like it was all nonsense. And you guys just keep listening to the media. You gotta break the spell because that's exactly what it is. It's a spell. Wake up.
taken out of here. That makes sense why they got all new slate clean actors, actresses, and clones. I just can't no more. I just can't.
Investigated this guy, Matthew Ryman, who was talking to Jeffrey Epstein 6 days before he was arrested. Jeffrey messaged him, just tell me the top 5 people with the special abilities and I'll take care of the rest. He was introduced to him by this guy, Gino Yu, a guy with Deepak Chopra. What I'm seeing right now with Gino Yu is that Gino is this guy who's connecting Jeffrey to a bunch of people, and specifically Ben Goertzel, who's one of the most famous early AI scientists. This is a paper I'm reading that he sent to Epstein for Ben Goertzel, creating robots with toddler-level intelligence using the OpenCog AGI architecture. A research proposal for the Epstein Foundation.
Give me 2 minutes and I'm about to schizosynthesize a link between Epstein, UFOs, and psychic abilities. And what got me thinking about this idea is a YouTube channel called Psicoactivo, which is psychoactive in Spanish. He puts out a lot of really good content. I would go follow him if you're interested in this stuff. So first and foremost, this is a painting from one of Epstein's victims, and I'll zoom in real quick. If you can tell here, she put Epstein's head inside of a UFO, so that sticks out to me. Number 2, the person that put Epstein on when he didn't have any experience, Donald Barr, who was the head of Dalton School, gave Epstein a job as a teacher for no reason. And a weird thing about Donald Barr is he wrote a weird book called Space Relations, which basically is like Star Wars with child sex slaves. So that's another weird link. Now next, if you guys have been sleeping under a rock, about a year ago, this group came out called Skywatchers, where this dude named Jake Barber basically did a tell-all on government programs that are basically collecting UFOs through psionic assets, which is basically someone with psychic abilities. And if you're like not up on that, you got to go watch it because it's too much to talk about in the TikTok. Basically, he says these psionic assets tap into UFO technology while they're flying by, and then make them crash, and the UFO then collects these UFOs. So, number one, if the government is making UFOs crash, that means that they probably look at them as threats. But two, that's a link between psychic abilities and UFOs. And again, in this interview, Jake
I don't know if you guys remember that
talks
story.
about how they get
It was a story that came out a couple years ago in Mexico. How this girl came across this UFO, and these people with all black on, black helmets, came out of the UFO and started to try to peel her face off. And somehow she was able to escape, and she described the whole thing. But what if it's these people? What if that was some of Epstein's henchmen who came out of a UFO and kidnapped children? It was also a document that came out not too long ago, a couple years ago too, that said that UFOs were being heavily used in trafficking, in the moving of drugs. A lot of this stuff is starting that was sounding like total fantasy. It's seeming to have a lot of validity and truth to it. And all of this is in the Epstein files. Epstein was talking to people about these things, but are we conspiracy theorists? Man, that word pisses me off, man.
People with psychic abilities. He said you're either born with it, you go and learn these abilities by being like a Shaolin monk and meditating for 30 years, or they force induce it through something called fear inoculation, which is basically putting somebody in extreme fight or flight in order to make them, go back to basic instincts, and supposedly that makes your psychic abilities turn on. Now, if you think about what fight or flight is in nature, that's basically an organism saying, I need to either fight or run away, otherwise I'm going to get eaten, right? And what do we know about Epstein and his crew? So what if those rituals were simply used, like what if this was like some government program where they're trying to make little kids turn their psychic abilities on? Like there's no...
It's like the GATE program.
There's no greater situation that would put you in extreme fight or flight than feeling like you're about to be eaten, right? I don't know, it just stuck out to me. That also lines up with one of the more popular TikToks that I posted, where I go through what I said was the weirdest Epstein email that I found, where he seems like he's high and he's talking about a lot of different things, and one thing he brings up is like predator-prey response. Seems like he cared about that for some reason. And then lastly, I didn't post a video about this, but one thing I've been thinking about is like, why were people so interested in getting advice from Epstein? Like he seemed like he was pretty intelligent, but he didn't seem like he was like the smartest person of all time. But I found emails basically where people were hitting him up asking for advice on how to negotiate for a better raise. And it's like, his advice was like, no, stand firm at 20, just say 20 over and over and over again. Something that I've been thinking about and like rolling around in my head. I had a video about this where I talk about maybe Jeffrey Epstein or his group had access to a looking glass. But if I'm thinking about this differently, what if Jeffrey Epstein himself was chosen to be in this position because he had psychic abilities? And people hit him up for advice because he can see what's going to happen. I'm not saying this is true. This is just me trying to synthesize ideas and think about why this was happening. There's a lot of weird connections and there's a lot of loose ends. Like, if it is true, why did they make a system out of actually eating people instead of just like using it as a tool to make this stuff happen? Or maybe that was just used to like control the group so nobody would talk about it. But my question for you guys is, like, if this was a program where they were trying to create psionic assets because the government or whoever runs the world felt like these things were needed because there was some threat out there with UFOs or whatever, would that be a reason to give them amnesty at all? And the whole reason I'm thinking about this, like I said, go follow Psychoactivo because he had a video about this. But also, like, I've never seen a situation or issue with more red tape on it than this Epstein issue. You didn't
Exactly.
see Pam Bondi talking to Congress today. Go watch that. Maybe I'll post a video or a clip of it later. But they're so like, the government is so, let's stop talking about this, when nobody on earth wants to stop talking about this. Never seen an issue with more red tape compared to Epstein, other than UFOs. To me, like,
It's
there
one
seems
and the
like there's some
same.
kind of link there. But again, if they deemed it necessary that people with psychic abilities were needed for whatever reason, would you guys forgive them for doing all of this?
Not at all.
At the end of the day, was protecting people.
How is doing this to children
That wasn't 2
protecting
minutes,
people?
That was 6 minutes, but whatever.
Like, come on. Not whatsoever. They're doing it for their own fruition. They to further their own things.
With the beautiful buildings. Who made them?
Well, it depends where you are in the world, but the architecture we would say is Greco-Roman. And it's interesting because Samoa had a World's Fair. They were in New Zealand, Tasmania, South America, everywhere in the world. Every city in the world had a World's Fair, and they all look the same. So typically we'd say Greco-Roman, but it can't be, of course, because these took place in places where, when these were built, the people building them hadn't been anywhere to see Greco-Roman buildings. The architecture is Moorish. It's the Moors. They came from North Africa. Yeah, and all of that influence went through Europe. So if you're in Spain and Portugal in particular, the architecture there is all Moorish. It came across into England and then went slowly into America as well. So yeah, it's Moorish architecture. The Moors, they've been totally discredited. They're the people that built everything in America, the White House, the lot.
Yeah. It's kind of easy, like in the modern day thinking, let's say the thinking of the last 70 years, because again, we're systemized, we're genocided, we're programmed to respond. The Moors, these were beautiful black people. Black. Is it because you is black, you is a Moor? Yes, it is. And we go, oh my God, Danny Henderson's such a racist. Like, shut up again. Like, it's
She's
so
racist for
crazy.
telling the truth.
It's
Like,
so
come
crazy.
on. It's nonsense.
Given that they've tried to, the system again, try to delete the true people of our beautiful planet and, make Jesus white, a blue-eyed blonde and all that silliness. Let's look at a race of people that are rarely spoken about and get your take on it. The Etruscans.
It's not something I've really looked into. It isn't an area I've really researched, to be honest
So
with you.
between the Greeks and the Romans, the Etruscans, Tuscany.
Yeah, and there is
Are
a
the
specific
Israelites?
reason for that. Because I've studied Anatoly Fomenko's work, and I actually got a book near me. And I sort of, the nuts and bolts of his work I put in my first book. But this is Anatoly Fomenko. Now, he claims that the Roman and Greek empires, if you like, never actually existed. They didn't exist. They've just been put there. That we're talking about Atlantean buildings and old world, classical.
And they
what
just
call the Golden
moved
Era.
in.
And that they invented these two civilizations to slowly show us once again this advancement of understanding mathematics, of slowly starting to build in a particular way and so on. So it's not something that I've looked into because I'm still very much on the fence with Anatoly Fomenko's work. I think that those periods of time.
And I want you guys to really understand what he's saying. He's not saying that these civilizations just didn't exist because it was people in those lands during that time. But as far as them building the buildings that they lived in, building the Roman Colosseum and building the Vatican and all of those things, he's saying that those buildings were already there. They were there pre-Diluvian world, which is before the flood. And that after the flood, these people found these structures, just like they came over here in America and found these structures, offset the people that were originally living there, and then moved in. Because when you study the history of Rome, when you find out about Mark Antony and all of these people of that time period, they were damn near all Israelites that were slowly getting pushed out of power. Just like how the Moors slowly got pushed out of power, just like the Native Americans slowly got pushed out of power, and then a new narrative formed. The exact same thing that happened, just like the Bible says. It would be just like the days of Noah. These things keep happening in cycles over and over again. But they think my people are about to keep going for it, and it's so nonsensical. That's why they've been trying to keep us in this state of delusion with this MK Ultra mind control. Because they're tired of us coming back to power and then them having to start fresh again. But trust and believe, this is the last time we will ever allow you all to do this.
Civilizations may well not be quite what we think they are.
Good.
Just a construct.
Yeah. Do you believe the Roman Empire existed and still exists today under the guise of the Vatican?
Not in the way that people think. I don't think they built anything.
They didn't build it.
I think those buildings are a lot older.
Yes.
And again, it's a backstory. And the Roman Empire is basically the Roman Catholic Church. It's still very much alive today. And, and anybody at Catholicism is a pretty strange religion. The fact that you can go and do something really awful and be forgiven by someone who claims to represent God without ever actually having spoken to them or been given permission to do so. I don't think you can go out there and do something really, really disgusting and be forgiven by someone who's a representative. And if you do what they say, they'll have a word with him because they're on first name terms, and they'll get you in regardless. You could be a mass murderer, convert to Catholicism on your deathbed, and be forgiven for everything you've ever done.
Which is nonsense.
It's control. Power and control, and it was about wealth. And obviously now with fiat currency, there's no such thing as money anymore. They don't need our money. It's just about crippling us. The Roman Empire is basically the Roman Catholic Church. That's all it ever was.
And that's all it will ever be.
Will be. So it's like the British Empire that still exists in the square mile in the city of London, alive and well. And we've got the Roman Empire, which is the Roman Catholic Church. So yes, I believe in it as an organization, but I don't necessarily believe that they should be credited for everything that we've given them credit for.
And slowly but surely, we are going to destroy all of these misnomers, all of this falsehood, all of these lies that these people have told over the last couple of centuries. It was the Moors who had their names changed from Israelites to Moors, because they didn't want us to understand who we truly are. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that you're notified whenever I do drop a video here. We on the road to 500 subscribers, so make sure you guys are subbing up and joining the kingdom. And I'm going to bring you all a lot more of this type of content, so make sure you guys are watching these videos. Hit that like button, you know what I'm saying? If you want to see more, make sure you hit that notification bell. But with that being said, King Marcel out. Peace.
Always alive, looking for the prize. That's eternal life. And bringing the chains in my mind. Talking real peace of mind.